Hello there everybody and welcome back to Movie Squirm. Today I'm going to be reviewing the 2025 film The Running Man, and this is directed by Edgar Wright and stars Glenn Powell. When a desperate father enters a game show to win enough money to save his daughter, he ends up himself in a deadly game where he is hunted down and must survive for 30 days. Now I really like The Running Man from 1987 starring Arnold Schwarzenegger, of course, but I have always thought it's one of them films that could do with a remake. So I was very happy to hear that this was going to be coming out with Edgar Wright in the director's seat, who in my opinion has not made a bad movie, and starring Glenn Powell, who's the next star right now. I mean, he's the next upcoming big name, isn't he? Even though he's probably solidified it as one of the big names working today. And even though a lot of people hold that movie in their hearts, it's, an 80s staple really. I don't think many could disagree that this could do with a modernisation. I think Arnold Schwarzenegger himself said that, if he could delve back into one of his stories as an actor, it would be The Running Man. So yeah, I mean, this is one that was primed for it. And I went into this one already excited, but after seeing the trailer, I was even more. I was like, oh man, this looks awesome, but you can never get too carried away, can you? And unfortunately, I did a little bit. Now, don't get me wrong, there's a lot to like here. There's a lot to dislike as well. So let's get into it.
Welcome to The Running Man.
Now I gotta say, first off, the world that is created here looks great. It has a real futuristic dystopian feel to it, where it's not a world I quite want to live in, but everyone in there seems to be having a lot of fun with the TV shows that pop in and out of the screen and everything, the whole acceptance of violence, and people just getting off on other people being hurt, basically. But I really like all these little things that are added here and there, like someone will post something in a post box and it'll light up green and then this drone will fly away with the post to deliver it and stuff like that. Just little things here and there, these little modernization of technology that is in people's hotel rooms and, their apartments and everything. It's a very nice world that actually does one-up the original film. I think it looks way better, and this is one of the things that I thought a remake could better from, having the world, this futuristic dystopian world, realized in a much more modern way. And I think it does just the job. But just on that acceptance of violence, it's all in the social commentary here. I think a few films have done this year. The Long Walk was one of them, and this one is basically doing the same. It's very strange to see people in this movie sort of cheering other people on as they are killed in TV shows and everything. But I just think this is becoming a little bit more of the norm these days, even though it still feels strange to see it fully realised in this movie. I mean, I've said on this channel before, a terrorist was actually gunned down not long ago here in a city just up the road from me, and everyone was watching it on their break in the canteen, just going, oh yeah, that's like an everyday occurrence. They weren't grossed out by the gore or the violence of this person being shot or anything. And I just think that's the world today. You can get easy access to all this, and it's basically just on everyone's TV screens in this movie, and everyone just goes along with it. So yeah, I think there's a good commentary there on saying, like, this is where we may be leading to in future, unfortunately. I don't think it'll ever be on the level of this film, but people are just becoming desensitized by it. Now I gotta say, Glenn Powell was solid in this film. There is something I really didn't like about his character, that I'll get to in just a second, but I think he's got all the chops to be a future action star. He is involved in a lot of cool action set pieces here. He brings good screen presence. And, maybe you can see him in a Mission Impossible style, James Bond style action series going forward. I think that's the road where it's leading to here anyway. And this is giving a lot more leverage for that. And he jumps into a few little disguises in this film as well, like he did in the movie Hitman. So he's got to go in and out of character at times. And because all these people are trying to come after him and kill him, and that just gives him more range as an actor there. So yeah, I really like the guy in this film, and you get behind him even more because the TV companies who basically run this town are portraying him as the bad guy. They're using deepfakes and AI to basically show the people who live here things that he isn't really saying. No, they're manipulating his words and everything, and the people just want him dead and want all these hunters to kill him. But as a viewer, that's not true, and you are definitely on the side of this guy. My only problem with him in this movie is when he does a little bit of anger here and there. Like, he's shouting at people all the time and threatening to kill them, and he wasn't quite selling me on that, unfortunately. But apart from that, one of the best things about The Running Man. But I just want to give a big shout out here to Coleman Domingo, who is this TV presenter in the movie. And he is basically getting the crowd all geared up for people to be inflicted violence upon. All the crowd are getting behind it. Like, if someone is coming close to death or is going to get really hurt, and he's got a real good way of mixing this charm, charismatic personality with some sinister dialogue here and there. And it's two contrasts that kind of come together and make this a really fun character. And you can see why all the audience, who are just twisted and demented in their own way because of the way the world is, so to get behind him and love him as this big famous celebrity. So I thought Coleman Domingo had some of the greatest scenes in this entire film. And like I said, there is some really good action set pieces in this film. Some of them feel a little bit limited, like they don't fully go there, but some of them really did stand out. There's a head-on collision where Glenn Powell is sort of have to jump off this bridge, and I thought, man, that was awesome. And he's also almost doing his own version of Ghost Protocol, sort of climbing out this building at one point while all these people are chasing him. And yeah, the action was fine. It was entertaining, popcorn, blockbuster action there. Now, I've just got one mixed aspect here because it's got a lot of positives and negatives to it, and that is the whole propaganda that we have going on in this film. There's a bit of a social commentary on this as well, where it shows that everything you see on TV, you can't quite believe. People will twist things to make it look like one thing when it's definitely something else. And this is a big way of how this world works in this movie. They're already like twisting Glenn Powell's words and everything like that to make him look like the bad guy, but it's done in virtually everything here on these TV screens. And a lot of people in this movie are basically just going along with it and believe everything the TV tells them. And there's other people who are sort of against it and want to rise up. We actually meet two of the main characters in this movie, or two huge side characters, who basically want to fight back, and the other one is basically just thinks Glenn Powell is the devil, basically. And it was really fun to see that at times, the whole contrast in what people believe in and what they don't. But my big issue with it is it's so beaten over the head all the way through the film. I get it's part of how the world works, but I'm kind of like halfway through, yeah, I get it now. I get it. You don't have to keep telling me that this guy Killian, who runs the TV show, is basically running the whole world and spewing out whatever he wants to make people believe him in any which way he can. I get it. You put that very early on in the movie. I don't keep needing to know by the end of the film, basically. So a little bit of a mixed aspect there. It works, but it's a little bit too much. Now on to my negatives, guys. And unfortunately, I did not like a lot of the side characters here. You got Michael Cera, Amelia Jones, Katie O'Brien. And they're all kind of nice stars to have in your movie, but I just wasn't on board with most of them. I don't think there's a lot of personality brought to them. One of them makes one of the biggest, most baffling, most stupid character decisions I think I've ever seen in a movie. And halfway through, I was like, oh my God, why has this person just done that? It's just took me out the movie so much. What a huge negative. Felt like something stupid to happen for a little bit of an action set piece that we kind of didn't really need. I mean, you could have maybe just went to the action set piece without that. And Katie O'Brien, who was also one of the runners with Glenn Powell's character. I mean, there was just no fun to be had with any of them, really. And Amelia Jones kind of just annoyed the shit out of me. So, unfortunately, guys, a lot of the side characters in this film that Glenn Powell meets along the way, who he wants to help him, just didn't really bring much to the film. And one huge negative here was I was really expecting Josh Brolin to bring something to Killian here, because one of the best things about The Running Man from 1987 is Richard Dawson's version of Killian. He is such a grade A arsehole, and he's one of them villains that you absolutely love to hate. You want to see him get his comeuppance and everything. But I just don't think Josh Brolin was even a patch on that guy. I mean, Josh Brolin is a wonderful actor. He's been in so many great films, played so many great roles, but this is one of his least memorable. It's like he filmed all his scenes in like a couple of days there. And I didn't feel any hatred towards him, even though he was such an asshole. I mean, he was just nothing on the Richard Dawson character. Don't want to compare it too much to the original, but they have used the same sort of character from that film, and it wasn't even half as good. Also, the hunters in this movie, my god, they were so wasted. One of my biggest things going into this film was I was looking forward to the creative design of what these hunters were going to be, but they kind of just change it up there to have one kind of main hunter and his little army of bandits to go after Glenn Powell, and I didn't find them interesting at all. They could have been done so much there with these characters, made them even more badass than the 1987 original, but it's just kind of this little gang of guys, little gang of army vets or whatever they are, going after Glenn Powell and having no charisma, no personality, no theme going on, kind of like Sub-Zero in the original film or anything like that. They didn't feel like boss fights or anything. They were just very wasted, and that was probably my biggest negative about this film. One I was looking forward to so much, they just didn't do anything with it at all. It was a half-assed attempt. Also, this film starts off very frantic, and after about 30 minutes, I was like, man, this is gonna be awesome. But there are so many hide-and-seek moments that slow the film down. Glenn Powell basically has to stop, get help off someone, have a little bit of a breather, and then it's back to the action. And I think this movie may have worked better if we were just going full throttle and maybe cut about 20-30 minutes out there just to keep the pace going and be in theme with the title, The Running Man. But no, it never quite does that, and it always slows down and loses momentum and stops gathering pace, basically, especially in the middle section of the film. I was kind of bored, just a little tiny bit there in the middle section for about 10 or 20 minutes. I was like, when is this movie going to kick on? But when it is frantic and speeding up and everything, that's when the movie works best. So it's not all bad. I gotta say, guys, this is probably my least favourite Edgar Wright film. I don't know if he was quite the person to do this, but I'm still glad that he's took on this big, huge blockbuster with a big budget and everything. But I don't know. It's my least favourite of his movies, to be honest, and one that I'm not in any rush to rewatch when it comes to 4K or anything. It's one of my most disappointing films of the year so far, unfortunately. I'm just going to go ahead and rate this movie now. I'm going to give The Running Man a 6 out of 10. Honestly, guys, if I had both of these on 4K and I wanted to watch The Running Man, I'm probably going to go back to the original with all the Schwarzenegger one-liners and stuff like that. Yeah, it's a decent attempt. That could have been so much more. Okay, guys, at the end of these videos, I always like to leave a little fun fact. Now, a fun fact for The Running Man is that the original film, which came out in 1987, actually takes place in 2017, but the book that both films were based on is from 1982 and actually takes place right now in 2025. And it's just kind of weird that this movie came out in that year. Okay, guys, hope you all enjoyed this review. If you want more movie reviews, please check out my 2025 movie reviews in the link down below. I'll leave it in the comments as well. I know this is more of a science fiction action movie, but I've kind of changed my bio to the dark side of cinema. So I'm not just going to be doing horror, it's going to be more thriller, sci-fi as well. So dark dramas and everything. So just a heads up, in future, I'll probably do an update in future as well, more around Christmas time on where the channel is heading. But yeah, I hope you all enjoyed this video, guys. Please leave your comments about The Running Man down below and I'll get back to you all, I promise. Thanks so much, guys. You all take care and I'll see you all in the next video.